Good evening. Welcome to Athens City Council. It's been a while since we had a council meeting. Remember last week we had sub-zero weather, so we opted out. We've made it tonight. We have a quorum with Councilmember Butler being absent today. So we have a quorum with 6 members present. We have some minutes that we need to dispose of. The regular session minutes of the session held January 21st, 2014. Could I have a motion to accept those minutes?
I so move.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of accepting the minutes for January 21st, 2014 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Okay. The minutes are accepted. Communications, Mayor? Everything? Okay, so we're going to do Mr. Patterson first? Okay. Okay. We're going to do first as the, we have 2 transfers of liquor permits. One, the Lucky Dog drive-through, which was at 309 West Union Street, is going to a location at 207 West Union Street, will be called the Last Call. And we also have the Busy Day Market on Stimson Avenue, which is in business now, has been bought, I think maybe we saw it in the paper, by Mr. Edwards from Nelsonville, and he would like to transfer the liquor permit down to the Busy Day Market from the Nelsonville Grocery. If we have any comments regarding these, responses need to be postmarked no later than February 24th. Copies of these will be in the council office if anybody wants to look at them. And communications, I think Member Patterson has a communication.
I do. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased and honored to report that there is a memorandum of understanding that was signed on January 27th, where the mayor of Athens, Mayor Paul Weil, and the president of Ohio University, Roderick McDavis, signed an MOU, which was an agreement between, or in a collaborative effort between 2 entities, one in the city, one in the university. The city entity is the Athens Commission on Disabilities, and the universities is Ohio University Presidential Council, Advisory Council on Disabilities and Accessibility Planning. And basically what this MOU is again, to start a collaboration between these 2 separate entities, which operated completely apart from each other, and now we'll be working in concert with each other. I want to just read through a couple of the scope of agreed collaboration between these 2 groups. To serve as a consultative resource on accessibility aspects for all building and renovation projects, as requested by the university and city planners. To partner with the county emergency services and Ohio University's risk management and safety department to develop a comprehensive disaster preparedness plan for community members with disabilities. Identify mechanisms for communicating new and existing accommodations or access barriers to appropriate Ohio University or city officials. Identify collaborative opportunities to raise awareness and eliminate barriers, obstacles, and limitations experienced by persons with disabilities. And finally, well, I shouldn't say finally, there will be a lot of ongoing projects, but another scope or item is to synchronize annual reports to ensure that coordination efforts for reporting out and documenting joint activities in the group's individual reports for the president of the Ohio University, for PACDAP, and to the City of Athens Mayor from the Athens City Commission on Disabilities. Again, this is I believe to be a monumental move in a direction to where there's going to be strengthening of efforts to make the city all-inclusive and accessible for individuals with and without disabilities.
Member
Thank you.
Patterson, Athens City Commission on Disabilities meets regularly. What's the calendar for the university one?
That I don't know,
Okay.
quite
So that'll
honestly.
be-
It also meets, I believe, it's probably quarterly throughout the year.
And so will the two have joint meetings? Is that?
Well, what we're hoping to have, again, that's in the planning stages. The hope is that we're going to at least hold 2, if not 3 meetings a year throughout the calendar year, to where we're at least having crosstalks between the two
Good.
different groups. But again, there's a lot of details yet to be worked out in terms of how that takes place. I should note that currently on the Commission on Disabilities, as well as PACDAP, there are individuals who serve on both. So there's already kind of mechanisms in play to have the two groups team up and collaborate together on different projects. I think the disaster preparedness, disaster readiness plan is critical. That's a big thing that we really need to get going. I've spoken to Fred Davis from, help me out, Mayor, the Athens Emergency Management Agency, and he's very willing to have this take place for the university and the city to collaborate on coming up with an effective disaster preparedness or readiness plan for the city.
Thank you. Member Patterson. Comments, questions at this moment? Okay. Thank you very much. Mayor Wild.
I'm assuming those liquor permits are for carryouts, Cs 1 and 2?
Both of those are carryouts,
Okay.
yes.
Just wondered. Again, the MOU, part of it's a template for the emergency preparedness, actually. So we have a template from Marietta, I believe, we looked at, which is pretty simplistic and needs to be embellished. We also did an MOU for emergency management in general between the university and the city. We've worked together all the time. This was just trying to codify the pieces of it. I won't go into too much because we could spend a lot of time on that. I thank the MOU team. I know Chris is on it. I know you are on it, Jim, for helping out on that. Let's see, other things. I think the most important thing I want to remind everybody is snow removal. They have a section in the code, it's 9/12/19, that you have to remove the snow from your sidewalks 4 hours after it's fallen. So in theory, it fell sometime this morning. The sidewalk should be getting clear right now as we speak, or if not, we'll have to start citing people. There is a penalty for it, and we're going to be out there trying to do our best to get it cleared, because it doesn't take long to break your head on some ice. So with that in mind, look at the code. Please clean up your sidewalks, and if you can, get the gutters out, because it's going to rain and the slush is going to just pile up and flood everything if you're not careful.
Can I say something about the snow removal?
Yes.
I've had several people talk about how they can go down the block and they can tell, oh, person lives there, rental, person, rental. And so I think that people need to realize how dangerous it can be going down the sidewalks. Also, when I drove down East State Street, I'm always disappointed to see how people plow their driveways or plow their parking lots, and then they plow it right onto the sidewalk. And people have to realize that people, especially on that one side where there's only a sidewalk, that's how pedestrians get up and down from our bus stops to shopping, and that it's not okay to go and just plow your side, your area right onto the sidewalk and create big giant berms. And I've talked to code with this, and I just want to re-emphasize that. So.
And I would echo for Richland Avenue, we've got the same kind of thing where there are a lot of businesses, but what we also have are 3 large apartment complexes with a lot of people trying to walk to classes, and it's just really dangerous because the pedestrians end up out in the street, and don't want anybody injured.
Especially now because more people are walking because they don't want to drive. You don't want people walking down the street. And so you need to make sure that when you're shoveling, not so much, but when you're plowing, you don't create a big giant berm that you have to walk over. So,
It's your show. Go for it.
Well, I want to echo everything I'm hearing, and once again, if someone's in a motorized wheelchair, it's impossible. You are in the street.
yeah.
You're in the street.
And again, we're trying to be a pedestrian-friendly city. If you remember from our master plan, we were like 49% pedestrian-driven in terms of going to and from work. Mostly students, of course, but everybody else. And it doesn't take long to actually slip and fall and hurt yourself.
Right.
It just, it's nice to say it's going to melt soon, but as we just had a demonstration last week, it did not melt soon enough. And now we've got wave 2 of snow, which is almost difficult to deal with in one sense. We have about 5 snowplows out. We've had them out since 6 o'clock last night trying to clean up things. Of course, the snow really did most of its falling all night long. I know we're low on salt, but I think we still have some to play with, so we're being frugal with that whenever possible. So that's the state of things right now. And that's really all I have to add. And just to reiterate, it is the code, it is the law, and it's a good thing to do for your neighbor. And it's not always just landlords versus non-landlords. You've got some landlords who spend a lot of time and energy out there, and then you've got a lot of homeowners. And if it's a homeowner that you know, you may want to talk to them and be neighborly about it. I've had that suggestion as well.
Sometimes it's very difficult for the homeowners to get that work done because of their age or their infirmities or whatever. And so it's up to us to be good neighbors if we could.
I have just one little thing to add. I'm fortunate or unfortunate enough not to have a sidewalk on my street, so we don't have this issue, but I have had a question from a resident of Franklin, and as you all probably know, in that area, there's a lot of drainage down the hill from Springs, and so this resident pointed out that sometimes he does not shovel his sidewalk purposefully because it's better to have snow on there rather than a sheet of ice. And so, we need to, of course, that's an issue we need to look at and figure out, but in some cases there might be a reason why the sidewalk is not cleared.
Well, the ice is part of the problem too, and if enough people walk on it, which in the inner neighborhoods will get walked on, it'll turn to ice regardless. I've been out there at 9 o'clock and I'm amazed how trampled down or compacted the snow is already. It means the students are going to class early, and a lot of them. So that's a temporary condition right there. I know it's easy to travel in snow because you can sink in, but
Right.
there's only so many places you can put your foot on on the sidewalk before it turns to ice. And we are working on stormwater plans as well.
Good.
Our treasurer, Mary Ann McClure, did you want to talk to us? Please.
I've given all of you a copy of the fourth quarter interest report with the last 3 months of bank statement reconciliations showing our cash position. Our total interest income for the year was $147,642 against the projected $101,650. We did have a little bit of increase in rates this year, and I've moved a little bit of money to some treasury bonds, and we'll be doing a little bit more of that in the future. So, okay. Any questions?
Questions? Comment? Mayor, were you getting ready to say something?
I would add that we're going to have the state doing our auditing. They'll be starting up tomorrow, I believe. Some members of council met in the preliminary meeting just to find out where the definition is in the timetable. So just to let you know, they're being audited by the state. It's a regular thing. They do it mandatory, I think, for every 10 years, I think was the gist of it. So they're coming around, and we usually do an independent private audit. So this will be a different set of eyes, which is good.
We have a few ordinances for second reading. We will go with this, ordinance 0314, an ordinance amending ordinance 147-13, non-union personnel fringe benefits package, to clarify that paid absence days must be taken in 8-hour increments, introduced by Councilmember Nisley. Ordinance 0414, an ordinance closing a portion of Court Street from Union to State on Saturday, April 1914, from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the International Street Fair, introduced by Councilmember Patton. Ordinance 0514, an ordinance amending Ordinance 9313, authorizing acquisition of the Dowler family property adjacent to the Far Hills subdivision to remain as undeveloped parkland, introduced by Councilmember Patterson. Ordinance 0614, an ordinance authorizing the Service Safety Director to purchase a street sweeper and declaring certain equipment no longer needed for a municipal purpose, also introduced by Councilmember Patterson. Announcements? Anybody have announcements? Next week, we will have a, go ahead.
Oh, Chris Fall has an announcement.
No, the same thing that you have. We need committee meetings.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I was starting.
Right.
Okay.
We're jumping the gun.
Okay. We will be having committee meetings next week, and I'm asking committees would like to meet.
Please.
And your committee is?
Planning and Development.
Okay. Planning and Development?
Finance and Personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Service safety.
Okay.
I'll put transportation on there. You can always take it off if you don't need it.
Okay, so that,
Yeah, transit is on there, that's what I
puts everybody on the agenda for next week. Okay. Other business.
Jim?
Yes.
Did you, City Council receive that email from the Columbia Gas concerning gas reporting? Okay. Okay, just so you're all aware of it. Okay. And again, the part of it is to contact the Columbia Gas Community Relations Communication Manager, I believe. The desk is, 614-460-6808. So this is in response, I guess, to last meeting.
And actually, I have a follow-up
Okay.
comment regarding the last meeting. When Charles Rose came and talked to us, he's a mail carrier in the neighborhood around East State Street. And he's been very vigilant about problems with gas. And he'd just spoken to council regarding gas leaks detected in the Near East Side neighborhoods. And just in the last 2 weeks, we have had 2 more verified problems in the Maplewood area. And he's just asked me, because he couldn't be here tonight, to just make these comments, add them to his expressions of concern. Anybody who has any concern about gas smell, furnaces with their problems with their furnace, please contact the gas company or whomever you get your heating material from. Those companies would welcome your comments and concerns. That's what they're in business for. Okay. And Mr. Rose, regarding the shoveling the streets, also wanted to note a member of the neighborhood, Alan McMillan, takes this snow off of quite a few sidewalks in our neighborhood. And I know Mr. Rose is a letter carrier, so he's especially appreciative. I'm a long-term member of that neighborhood, and I'm appreciative of his efforts also. So that's aside. I kind of jumped in. So do we have other citizens who would like to speak on any city services or items not covered on the agenda? Council members? Anybody? Okay. With that, we will adjourn this meeting.